folks, it's Dumb Guy Live. It's just two dumb guys today. There might be a third a little bit later, but for now, it's just the Tanahashi and Marufuji of dumb guys, respectively. Of course, I'm Hiroshi Tanahashi. Nice to meet you. We have my co-host Naomichi Marufuji. We're both kind of washed. But we both had big, strong primes, and we both run shit.
The aura's still there, and that's all that matters. Vibes.
Fuck, my glass is so crooked. What the hell? All right, we're locked in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good March. Can't believe it's gonna be April by the time we see each other next. Dumb Guy Live episode 57. That's the number of flavors that are in Heinz ketchup. I just made that up. There's definitely some 57 significance. Maybe it's when it was like founded or something, but yeah. Jamie, do the tweet. And let's get that. We'll do that. And then
the tweet is up. I'm ahead of you.
He's done the tweet, folks.
I'm a professional.
He's done the bloody tweet.
57 episodes. I've kind of got the hang of things at this point.
Love it.
It's all good.
He's done the.
Should be a good little show tonight. We've got a bit of New Japan as always. New Japan Cup, Cinderella tournament stuff to get into. We finally have some Rossi news. Some promotion, new promotion Rossi news. Talents confirmed, or at least I guess reportedly heading there. But we all know that's where they're going. And a bit of All Together as well to get into. So should be good stuff.
Oh, Michael Cole says I look fine AF. I appreciate that. Maggle. Michael Cole sucks. People say he's good now. Is that true?
I wouldn't say he's like one of the best commentators, but he's tolerable. You know what I mean? I think he's like they let him be a bit more like he kind of does his own thing now rather than someone in his ear a lot. But
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't. There's like 20 years of him doing this. You know what I mean? Like, and then now I'm supposed to think he's like good or whatever. All right, thank you. Hold on. What do you mean he? I don't get it. What do you mean he's still ass? That's a weird way to refer to yourself. Yeah. I like this. Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah.
That's person is. I can already tell by that message, just by that message. The follow-up message made me definitely I knew who it was. But anyway, trust me, Lewis. We agreed with this.
Lewis is here. Big pop. Shout out to Lewis of Wrestling.
Big Lewis is here.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna be talking about the Rossi 5, Lewis. Don't you freaking worry about it. All right. So we'll get there. But I think we should start off. We had a coronation. We had two coronations, I guess. But we had one coronation in the single elimination tournament. Pro wrestling every year, and that was, of course, New Japan Cup Finals, which were and Yota Tsuji is 2024 New Japan Cup winner. He will vent Sakura Genesis. He will get his second IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match in 9 months. This time, stablemate Tetsuya Naito. We'll talk about the implications of the Sakura Genesis match and Tsuji in general in a moment. But let's just start with the New Japan Cup Finals themselves. Jamie, what do you think about Tetsuya? Or sorry, I should say Yota Tsuji knocking off Hiroki Goto, the upstart Goto, in the finals here?
I loved it. I think it was far and away the best match of the tournament, which isn't saying too much considering some of the shenanigans that have been going on in this. But I really enjoyed it. I think it felt the most like what New Japan should be in a little while. The atmosphere was great, particularly. So I watched the Stardom show was on the same day, and I watched the Stardom show first live. And we'll get into it in a moment. But the difference in the kind of atmospheres from show to show was really quite a stark difference when we got to this main event. So that really fired me up, and I think it was. I think they wrestled this one perfectly. I think Hiroki Goto was great in this match. He'd been great all tournament, but him being like kind of a gatekeeper for Tsuji here as he looked to kind of get his first big accolade in New Japan. I think that was perfect. Really physical back and forth match, and I love the kind of finish with the Goto going for the Rainmaker lariat, and then obviously Tsuji getting the Gene Blasters off. But yeah, I thought it was I really enjoyed it. That was definitely one of the my favorite matches in New Japan this year, and the perfect moments. I would have been okay with a Goto win, providing that Moxley got the belt in Chicago. But I was definitely on team Tsuji, and I'm kind of obviously we're going to get into the Sakura Genesis card in a minute. But I think New Japan absolutely made the right choice, and it's time.
Yep, I thought this was. I like that both people had their own story in this one, with Tsuji, of course, being the young with the crazy high potential and talent, taking on Hiroki Goto, who's on the other side of his career, right? Has won this tournament 3 times before and has always failed to capture the championship once he's done so. I think just a simple dynamic there. I don't think I would not anticipate that Goto was anticipated to be in this spot at the start of the tournament, but I think it was a fortunate occurrence for New Japan that David Finlay was injured, if that, of course, is the case. That was originally supposed to be Finlay. Some people think even Finlay was supposed to win the whole thing ahead of time. But I think all of us, considering David Finlay was our shitter of the year last year, we're I think we're all fine that it ended up being Goto, even if he's not the sexiest pick out of everybody on the roster. Regardless, yeah, I agree. I thought the match was really good. I thought it was just like very simple. It was like a G1 tour main event. It's like it was it was a really strong match. Just good near falls, good callbacks to their stablemates and things like that, right? I like the idea that both of them are kind of B members in their stable, with in the shadows of Naito and Okada respectively. I thought that, so they had good callbacks there with some of the movesets they were going with. But and I'm super happy with Tsuji getting the win here. This is exactly what New Japan needs: is more young blood, more upstart talent moving into the main event scene. Is there anything else on the show you want to talk about? Like, it was literally just a one match show. I mean, did get the win over Kanemaru to set up the upcoming junior title match, but aside from that, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I'll be real. I kind of saw the lineup, and I said I didn't watch the live, and I was just like, nah, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna watch I'll watch the final, and I'll see if anything gets good reviews. But it didn't seem like anything else stood out.
No, I mean, like, Dave is super generous, and he had the first 2 matches he had over 3 stars, and then aside from that, nothing got more than 3 stars, including a 1-star match, a 1.5. Yeah, pretty rough, considering how generous Dave is with his star ratings in 2024. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement. Really good match, really good choice of winner. Now we move on, and we'll do a more in-depth, like, full show preview next week. But of course, we move on. We have the Sakura Genesis card. Let's start with the main event: Tetsuya Naito defending against Yota Tsuji. What's sort of your initial thoughts? Like, this is a match that we've never seen, at least not since Tsuji has come back, of course. And yeah, it's just it's one that I haven't put a lot of thought into. New Japan rarely does these intra-stable World Championship main events. So I'm just kind of intrigued by the matchup here. I think there's a little bit of a specter of the upcoming Moxley match as well. But just first thought when you see Naito defending against Tsuji in the main event of Sakura Genesis, what's your reaction?
Yeah, I really like it. It's definitely a unique matchup, as you say. we've talked so much about the importance of building up the new guys, and I think with the kind of opportunity that's fell into New Japan's lap, whether it was meant to happen or not, depending on whether Finley was going to win or whatever, I think they have to go with Tsuji. I just think that he feels like out of all of them, and Shota Umino's been pretty close, but I think now Tsuji feels like the guy that is like ready out of all of them to step up as New Japan's next top guy, and I think you have the perfect chance here to crown him. The match should be great. Hopefully, obviously Tetsuya Naito isn't exactly at his peak, but when he tries, he can still deliver. We saw it in the Wrestle Kingdom main event, so hopefully, with a big matchup here, he can deliver. I'm sure Tsuji will. He's always exciting to watch. But yeah, I'm just really hoping we get the right result here. As I say, if Tsuji doesn't win and Naito does win, then that's where I'd be hoping for a Moxley win, or maybe they pivot to Moxley Shota. But with the Moxley thing looming over, I've been needing to check, but the Moxley Naito match, is that confirmed to be for the title? Because if that's I feel like that could be a match.
It's not. Yeah, and so, but you would imagine so. Like, it would be weird for New Japan doesn't really do special singles matches of people who are currently champions.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's my feeling with it. So I imagine if Naito is to retain, it will be a title match. But I feel like that's where they have to get out of jail free card. If Tsuji wins, it was never announced as a title match, and they can run that as a special singles for sure. It's two of the biggest names. That they have to pick from there. So I don't think there'll be too much of an issue there. But yeah, I'm just hoping that Tsuji gets the job done. I think it's the best way to lead New Japan into this next era with the young guys. And I think out of all of them, as I say, Tsuji's the one who's shown the most promise, and I think he's ready.
I think what you were just talking about with I think we both want Tsuji to win this championship, and I think if not, we both want Moxley to win this championship. To me, this is an illustration of why I was really low on Naito winning the G1 last year and then the title at Wrestle Kingdom. I never, like a lot of people before the G1 last year, when everybody sort of presumed Naito, and that's of course what it ended up being, I was kind of like, why? I just never got why, like what was so exciting about that story aside from his history with Sonata. Which is a fine story to tell, even though I don't think they did the best with it. But Naito in 2024, like he's a solid wrestler, but he's not as great as he once was. We've already seen this story 4 years ago when he won it, when he won the Double Dash at Wrestle Kingdom. So I don't know. I'm ready for somebody else to be champion. We just need to move on into this new area. I'd say with the upstarts and Umino, and hopefully more of a baby face, or at least a non-House of Torture Narita and Uemura and people like that. So maybe a Jack Perry in there as well. Gabe Kidd, of course. Just I'm not interested in Naito as champion right now. Both Tsuji and Mox are infinitely more compelling to me as IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and in a G1 season than Naito. There's nothing for Naito to do as far as I'm concerned, and he's not just a blow away incredible wrestler like Tanahashi or like Okada or even someone like Shingo, who I would be fine with another Shingo run, for example. To where we're like, oh, we gotta see, no matter, even if the stories aren't that exciting, at least the matches are incredible. We haven't really seen that yet either on this reign. We have a super chat from he says he's Black Timson, but this is Bravo, and he's given us, I think that's South African currency. I don't know what that is, but he gave us 7 of them. So thank you so much. For your 7 South African currencies. And I'm going to read this as his super chat, which is House of Torture will become the biggest stable in Japan. I mean, numbers wise, maybe.
Yeah.
Evil Narita.
Well, you do know, Parker, if they get really popular in Japan, that we have to like them. So
that's true. That's true.
That is a good a good target for House of Torture. If they can get a Japanese crowd on side, then Western fans, we got to concede.
Yeah, you're telling me that the top heel stable in by far the biggest promotion in Japan has some people that like it? What? Are you for real right now?
It's
Nah,
crazy.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But yeah, no, I don't care. Fuck House of Torture. They can die as far as I'm concerned. Um, in kayfabe, I
Yeah.
guess mostly. Uh, so yeah, I think that's the big stuff on the main event there. We did see. I'll just run down the rest of the card. Shingo, thankfully, is going to challenge for this never open weight title. I know we're both like, please, Shingo,
Yeah.
please win this title. I can't do it.
Getting back on track in
Yeah.
where I don't think he should have ever lost it in the first place, especially not with what came after when Tama won it. I get it was a nice moment for him to win at the Dome, but if he's going to relinquish it straight away, or not relinquish it, but drop it to Evil, then hopefully it was just a little detour, not a great one, but something we can get back on the right track with.
Special tag match: Jon Moxley and Shota Umino against Ren Narita and Jack Perry. Now, this is a match where if it was just those four wrestlers, I'd be like, this is awesome. Like, this is a ton of fun. But it's fucking House of Torture. Like, fuck. I don't care. Like, it's probably gonna be like the first 7 minutes or something are gonna be like really cool, and then Yujiro is gonna show up, and it's gonna be like, or Kanemaru or something, and it's gonna be very annoying. So anyway, at least they're doing something with Jack Perry. Like that's fine by me. I like Jack Perry. I know some people don't, but I am a fan.
Be interesting to see him in there with another AEW guy as well. Considering the kind of politics of his whole stint in New Japan. I guess it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, guys, Tony Khan shoot hates Jack Perry. He might never be back in AEW. I'm 100% serious, but I don't know that Perry really minds at this point because he's getting paid double right now, so he's happy with whatever is going on with him. We sort of presumed that this was going to be the junior match. Show defending against Yo for the junior heavyweight title. This is obviously the former tag team partners. This is their first time wrestling each other for the junior title, which I think is pretty interesting. Unfortunately, Show fucking sucks right now as a part of House of Torture. So I hope Yo wins the title. I think, especially because Best of the Super Juniors is right around the corner, I think Yo as the champion in BOSJ is really fun. And I think Show as champion completely puts a damper on whoever ends up winning, but it's like, oh great, they get to wrestle fucking Show. So I'll definitely be firmly in Yo's corner in this one.
Yeah, maybe hopefully Yo can like save Show as well. It'd be cool if they ended up reuniting at some point. I think it'd be beneficial to both guys, to be honest. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think the kind of having Show as champion looming over Best of the Super Juniors, which last year Best of the Super Juniors was one of the highlights of New Japan's whole year. So if they can replicate that again, you want a strong title match to close that out with, and I think Yo definitely gives that more than Show.
We have heavyweight tag team match. Get this, Bishamon are going to challenge for the tag titles. I know, it's crazy. I hope they win though, because it's fucking Chase Owens. But I don't care. Like, and I'm sure you're with me. Like, you just how could anyone possibly care right now, right?
Yeah, it's the New Japan Tag Team division. It's not really a division, is it? When you have those two as your champion, so anyone is better than Chase Owens with a belt. So yeah, I'm with you.
Preceding that, we actually have a pretty interesting match, and then we have the junior tag titles. It's a Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors are defending the titles against the Bullet Club Warlords, of course. They are defending against Francesco Akira and TJP. That's kind of interesting because TJP has definitely been presented as a heavyweight since the start of the year, or at least since Ospreay leaving. So kind of interesting that he's back in there challenging for the junior titles. I wonder what that means for BOSJ. Also having BOSJ implications is the fact that Kushida and Kevin Knight are back in the promotion for this show. which is very good for me. Big fan of both of these dudes. And again, hopefully that means that we're seeing both of them in the best of the Super Juniors, which, considering contract status and everything, I don't know that was a guarantee a couple months ago. So I think we're both probably in agreement that both Kushida and Kevin Knight deserve a spot in that tournament, even though they're, of course, more Impact than New Japan at this point.
Yeah, it seemed for a time there that they may have been done with New Japan, fully Impact guys. So it's good to see them back. Hopefully, if that is the case, and they are in BOSJ this year, Kushida gets more of a shine than he did last time. He's always great in the ring, but he kind of had a rough win-loss record last year. And I guess if he's not fully committed to New Japan, I understand it. But with given his history, I'd like to see him get more of a show. But Kevin Knight, especially as well, I'm happy to see him back in the fold because he's obviously got a lot of potential. So, and I don't really watch Impact or TNA, and I don't have too much interest in checking out the product in 2024. So if they can keep popping him in the New Japan, where I do have an interest, then that's great for me.
That's the big stuff. They have a show in Korakuen, but it's all tags next week. Except they have a couple like unique little quirks. They have a quick gauntlet match of only 3 teams, which is weird. Where like it's essentially it's like a junior tag title match preview. But that's kind of weird. And then they do have Shingo Takagi versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru. So hopefully Shingo just kills Kanemaru.
Yeah.
Underrated 2019 Best of the Super Juniors match, Shingo versus Kanemaru. But yeah, not much to report on that show. Main event is Naito and Hiromu against Tsuji and Bushi. So yeah, that's sort of the important stuff going on in New Japan. One other thing to note before we move on, we're going to talk a lot about Stardom, but I think, and I appreciate Overlord Dan for bringing this back up. Alex Coughlin, Bullet Club War Dog member, former New Japan Young Lion, part of the LA Dojo, announced his retirement over the last week. It's looking like he's done with wrestling. We've actually been kind of privy to this news for a while. We were waiting for it to kind of be confirmed. But so if we weren't like stunned by it on the timeline, I guess that's why. But yeah, we're feeling it's too bad. He was somebody who was he never reached his full potential. And I think I don't think that's like an insult to him or to the company or anything to say that, because he was still super young. And he'd been a fully fledged member of the roster for that long. But Jamie and I and Murph all loved the War Dogs, especially in particular Gabe Kidd and Alex, these insane killers. Coughlin was a super essential part of the War Dogs versus United Empire feud at the start of this year. Just a little, and it's sad anytime somebody retires early in their career, but of course much preferable to the alternative, which is worse injury or something like that. But Jamie, any overall thoughts on Coughlin and his career? Trav, he's I keep saying he was like he died or something. He's not going to die, friends. But yeah, he's only 30. Which is crazy. But yeah, any thoughts on Coughlin?
Yeah, just kind of echoing a little bit of what you already said. Obviously huge fans of the War Dogs there, and that tag team with Gabe Kidd, as you say, was always a highlight. He was a really unique guy. He had like a crazy physique and feats of strength that he always pulled off. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Claudio in some of the feats that he was able to pull off in the ring at times. Where you see some of the suplex and stuff he pull out, and especially with some of the bigger guys, and really funny facial expressions at times as well. The eyes. I remember when he walked out for the cage match with United Empire with all the chairs. That was a great moment for him. That's his last moment with that we get to see him in the ring. I think that was a fun, memorable one. But yeah, he's going to be one of the big what ifs, because I think as a guy just starting New Japan, he definitely had a lot of potential. Whether that's alongside Gabe Kidd or as a singles down the road. So as you say, it's unfortunate to see him his career come to an end. But again, repeating what you said, it's always better to see someone go out on their own terms before that no longer becomes an option. So we wish him all the best in whatever he decides to do. We had a great time watching his stuff up to this point, and just all the best to Alex Coughlin.
Last little bit on Coughlin, two more things to mention. First, the lasting image of him sort of like perched, like halfway submerged in that table, knocked out, is like one of the defining wrestling images of the last few months. And it's just like, it's part of being an awesome performer. Like he completely stuck that. He sold it perfectly. Just a super fun spot. And he went with the flow in terms of the table not breaking. The only part that broke was the inside, not the frame. And so he's suspended up above the ground, just crumpled in there. I think that was a great, like, just a sign of like a performer who gets it. And that, exactly. Laz said the exact same thing. So then last thing, tonight, after we're done, I went to Coughlin's cage match just to see what ended, because I actually thought that the cage match was going to end up being his last match. He did a no ring death match against Casanova Valentine, who's like a well-known deathmatch guy. For NFC, which is New Fear City, they do like the crazy, like, that isn't even really wrestling at a certain point, deathmatch stuff. And I think it's free on YouTube to watch. And I have not watched it, but I definitely want to see that one. He did that after the cage match, between the cage war between United Empire and the War Dogs. So I definitely want to check that out. I mean, that's unique. Somebody who comes up in the New Japan them to do something like that. So I definitely want to.
If you're gonna go out, you're gonna go out in a in a blaze of glory. He absolutely did that. It seems like he put himself through the ringer in his last two showings. So you know what, you got to respect it.
All right, we appreciate you, Alex Coughlin, and we're both glad that you get to kind of go out on terms that are important for your health, and not the other way around. So let's move on. A lot of Stardom stuff to get to. Let's start with the show. The other coronation from this past week. We have our new Cinderella for 2024, and it is, as expected, Hanan of Stars. She is the Cinderella champion. She will challenge for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Has that date been announced, by the way, when she's going to do that?
Not to my knowledge, I don't think so.
Got you. So she's been announced for that. We'll start with the tournament semis and then the final, and then we'll talk about the main event and Julia versus Tam as well. But let's start with the semis. Her match against Ruaka, I thought was just a match. Like, I just never believed for a second that Ruaka was winning it. And I presume you kind of felt the same way.
Yeah, not too much to kind of write home about. I appreciate them putting this match on, because I they're kind of career rivals up to this point, with all the the obviously Stars and Oedo Tai. They had the future title matches back in the day, so it made sense booking this one, but it was just another kind of step on Hanan's path to become Cinderella. And Ruaka did do the Samoa Joe spot. I saw a lot of people posting it on the timeline, but that popped me a little bit as a fan of both Samoa Joe and Ruaka. If Ruaka can model a game around Samoa Joe, we might be cooking.
That's not so bad.
First step along the road, with watching the tape, so it's all good. But a big win for Hanan, as expected, and we move on to the second semi-final.
Yeah, Ami Sourei, and again, the semis and the finals went completely as we thought it would. Ami Sourei beating Azumi here, very similar to the quarterfinal match where Sourei beat Mei Seira. I thought this was the better of the two semifinal matches. It actually went, a lot of times these semis matches only go like 7 to 9 minutes, but this went 12 minutes. I thought it was good. I thought it was good action. Wasn't like mind-blowingly excellent or anything, but compared to some of the, I don't know, a lot of the early Cinderella matches seemed kind of low stakes. So comparatively, this felt like a bigger deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was enjoyable. I think this was a pretty big matchup for Ami Sourei, who obviously I assume she was the favorite for a lot of people heading in, just in terms of the matchup. But I guess in the kind of pecking order of Stardom overall, Asumi's a pretty big name to
Yeah, for
have
sure.
to defeat. So I thought it was a pretty strong showing for Ami here. I thought they kind of matched up quite well. Obviously, Asmi always brings the high speed style, and Ami's more of a powerhouse, and I think they matched up pretty well. Definitely my my favourite of the two semi-finals, but it was all again pretty much as expected up to this stage, and it set up another rematch for Hanan of a future title match in the finals. But yeah, strong stuff and a good win for Ami Sourei.
And then the final match was, in fact, Hanan beating Ami Sourei in 11 minutes. I thought the match was technically just fine. I thought it was good. I do have to this is kind of the elephant in the room, and I don't really comment on this stuff that often because
Mhm.
I feel like a good example of this really elevates shows, and a bad example doesn't really take too much away from me, if that makes sense. Um, the crowds in these Stardom shows, and particularly this weekend,
Yeah.
were just. It was like it felt like a clap crowd. It's just
Mhm.
going from the New Japan Cup finals, which I watched before this, to this was like is this the same country? Like, what's going on here? Like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the clientele and that the Stardom fans are generally like, I don't know, like middle-aged guys who are less willing to like get super into it like some of the
Mhm.
younger fans are, maybe the more family-friendly environment of New Japan. But Jamie, thoughts on the crowd reactions in this match and overall on this show and recent Stardom pay-per-views?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Obviously the match was. I agree on the match. It was pretty much as expected and the right results, and we'll get into that afterwards. But the crowd, as you said, it's been noticeable for a while, but this one was really bad considering some of the stakes of some of the matches here. Um, Hanan's crown and moments was something that had been built up for a number of years now. And even throughout the tournament, there had been moments, and I think back to the Mirai match, where the crowd was a lot better and it added to the match as it built up. But here, in the climax of the entire tournament, it just completely fell flat. And I don't think it's a it's a specific talent thing. It was right across the board. We'll get into the some of the other matches later on, but I think back to the Tam and Julia match, which is obviously the culmination of, in my opinion, the best feud. Um, especially the Bushi Road era of Stardom, but
Mhm.
perhaps Stardom altogether. When you think about some of the matches and angles they've shot with those two, it felt like it was being wrestled behind closed doors at times. Which it added to some of the headbutts and stuff. You could hear it more than maybe you could have, but just with the intensity of some of the matches and the stakes, everything just felt so flat, and it definitely takes away from it. And as I mentioned earlier, when I jumped from this show to the New Japan Cup final, the difference couldn't have been more apparent. And it definitely does. It elevates a match when the crowd are fired up and they're hitting the beats on all. Throughout the match, they're reacting to the right moments. It adds to it for sure. And I've seen a lot of slightly lower reviews on some of the matches than I had, and I think it's absolutely fair if you base that on you kind of, if you have a lot of emphasis on crowd reaction when you're enjoying matches. I know for sure it definitely does take away a lot for me too. So yeah, it's not good. I'm hoping they can maybe, we've seen a few changes with the production lately on the kind of Stardom World side, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I don't know whether it's as well maybe like a sound production issue, whether they
Yeah.
don't have things mic'd up as strongly. Because there have been times when the crowd has sounded good for some of the Stardom shows, but more often than not, it just definitely feels very flat compared to like a New Japan at its peak.
It's weird because Samurai TV like does the production for these, right?
Mhm.
And so and anytime, maybe this is just because it's edited in post, but the all the like tape stuff that they do on Samurai TV for the like indies, like all the Big Japan shows and 01 and things like that, they always come across as super like engaged and into
Yeah.
the matches for the most part. then I think Scarecrow makes a good point. Like, I would speculate that Stardom and TJPW crowds aren't different in terms of like demographics or whatever. And I've never, like, if there's one thing I've complained a lot about TJPW, but if there's one thing you can't really complain about, it's that at big shows, generally speaking, fans get into it. Although I do think there have been some examples of like Grand Princess and things like that where, like, I remember just the Mizuki versus like Yuka Sakazaki match, for example, like wasn't that strong. So maybe it does have something to do with demographics, but yeah, maybe it's just like so much of it is just like, aside from New Japan, I think a lot of promotions just really struggle to get the desired environment and crowd reaction outside of Cork and Hall, which is the best venue for wrestling in history. And aside from that, I mean, I don't know. All Japan gets pretty good reactions. They're one company that does get good reactions outside of Korakuen, but no, like Noah doesn't have great reactions or anything like that outside of Korakuen. I'm trying to think of who else. Like Dragon Gate has, it depends on the show. Depends where they are. So I don't know. I would just love for a more invested crowd. It just feels so. It's just not as fun when it doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Like, one of the great things, like, I think WWE fucking sucks for the most part, but anytime WWE is in my area, I generally go because it's fun to watch a wrestling show with an engaged crowd, and WWE generally has engaged crowds. It's not as fun when you don't feel like the other people watching aren't having as much fun. So I don't know. But anyway, yes, Hanan is the champion. She is 99% promised a white belt reign in the future, it feels, with Mirai. So we will preview that match when it comes to fruition.
Yeah,
let's talk first here. Let's talk about it. Maika successfully defended the World of Stardom Championship. Ami Hayashishita. This match went a half hour, a full half, longest Stardom matches, singles match, recent memory. I thought it was really, I think it was about as good as their best stuff, but I was kind of hoping that this had an outside, one of the better Stardom matches in recent memory. I don't think it quite hit that level for me. I'm enjoying the reign. Big win for Maika. Now that we know that Utami is, I feel like this match is going to be very quickly forgotten. Frankly, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people coming back to it after that. But yeah, overall thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a pretty similar position. I don't think it was anything to blow away. It definitely wasn't like a standout match of the year contender or anything, but it was a strong main event and to cap off the show, as was expected from these two. We talked about their chemistry last week, and they definitely delivered for a start of the main event. It started off pretty similar to the previous encounters. It's kind of slow build up to the start, and then it builds up a lot more intense later on. Some huge suplexes and big strikes, as Maika always brings. Maika gets the job done as everyone expected. It's there, but it does definitely feel a little overshadowed with the news following. But yeah, this was one of the matches that we'd circle when Maika won the title, and it definitely feels like a big victory for her. Just on her resume, beating her career rival, obviously one of the biggest names in Stardom, or I guess was in Stardom at the time. Obviously, one of Stardom's best ever Red Belt champions. So a big win for Maika. She moves forward. Obviously, there's the post match as well with Momo Watanabe, and we also had a match announcement for the Philadelphia show with Megan Bayne. So we have a few upcoming matches for Maika as she moves forward. But there's the looming departure of Utami Hayashishita is another big takeaway from this, which we'll get into shortly.
Yeah, again, not a whole lot to say. It escalated. It was very it felt like a very New Japan main event to me. It was good. It was good. We also had Julia's swan song in Stardom, at the very least, against a high profile opponent in Tam Nakano. This was kind of polarizing at points. There
Mhm.
were some people who were not huge fans of this. I guess I'll start with you, Jamie. What you think? What you think of Julia versus Tam, a rivalry that we both say is maybe the best in Stardom history, at the very least, the best in the Bushiroad era.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this. I was probably on the higher end than some of the people I saw. Um, but yeah, I thought it was kind of it was a bit of a greatest hits of
Mhm.
their matches. It definitely didn't hit the heights of the previous encounters. Some of their matches were obviously match of the year contenders. I think back to the red belt match early last year. Um, that was definitely a standout. But with this one, I think obviously the atmosphere, as I pointed out before, definitely didn't help. It felt silent almost at points during this. And when you have such a personal rivalry and the big stakes with Julia leaving, I don't think that helped it at all. I would have liked a bit more crowd engagement. Where it did add, though, was when we got some absolutely brutal headbutts
Mhm.
from Julia and Tam, as we always do. One of them left a kind of very crazy bump on Tam's head, which you've seen before from these two. But you could hear that quite loudly through the stream, thanks to the very quiet crowd. So that was definitely an interesting part of this. But yeah, I thought it was kind of a nice conclusion to their rivalry overall. As I say, a bit of a greatest hits from their previous encounters, but it couldn't have been anyone else for Julia closing out this chapter of her career. Obviously, one of the best rivalries we've seen in Stardom, as we both said. And yeah, it'd be weird to see this kind of era come to an end in Stardom and where they go moving forward, as we're going to get into with more of the departures in a minute. But I guess this was the one we knew about for a while, and this was the end that we kind of expected. And yeah, I thought it delivered on what I was hoping for out of this.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It was very odd. Like, we knew it would be a time limit draw. It didn't really
Mhm.
feel like Julia was in the mood to be putting somebody over on the way out. And their matches are a very slow burn, generally speaking. So when you got the
Mhm.
15-minute cap, there's only so much they can do. They get to a certain point, and it's like they're just kind of waffling until the end, just like throwing bombs
Yeah.
at each other just to fill the last minute or two, right? So yeah, I'm I'm like one of the sickos and freaks. So that was facetious, obviously, but I when it's these two and they're being like violent with each other, like there's only so much I can be disappointed. Like, I still think
Mhm.
it's like awesome, but it was
Yeah.
very weird with like a super quiet crowd, the odd circumstances around Julia leaving, the 15-minute time limit, and just everything else, and also
Mhm.
and the looming specter of the classics they've had against each other in the
Yeah.
past, of course, as well. Yeah. So anything else on this show you really wanted to talk about?
No, I guess we can touch on a little bit, but we didn't really get too much into there was the post match of the main
Yeah,
event.
go for it.
So we had Momo Watanabe attacking Micah anytime after this match. She she's looking for the next shot at the red belt. But Micah seemingly has other ideas. She declared that her next challenger will be Megan Bain, her former Divine Kingdom tag team partner, and that'll be happening at the Philadelphia show coming up soon. To my knowledge, that's the only match we have confirmed so far for that show.
Yeah,
But
I
we
think
do have,
so. I haven't been able to find anything else that indicates that, which is weird.
yeah,
It's 9 days away.
yeah, they should probably get a move on with that. But we do have pretty much the majority of the talent announcements, I assume. And it was a lot of big names, and some of those announcements kind of lean into the what we're going to get into next of the who's staying and who's leaving business. It was kind of a bit of a confirmation of some names who'd maybe signed extensions or maybe who contracts weren't up at just yet. But there was also some external names confirmed. Obviously, Willow Nightingale will be there, Mariah May. Of course, they've got this AEW partnership kicking off now. There's a few other outside Joshi names. I think Ram Kaicho, Saki, and
Mhm.
so the typical Joshis who frequent a lot of the American indies. So it should be a fun show. Hopefully, if anyone's able to go to that, I'll be very jealous. Hopefully, they come to the UK at some point in the future. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it for the Cinderella. So I guess we had Yuzuki versus Mayu Iwatani, which is
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
in hindsight. But,
Yeah, it was just a good match. It was, it's just Yuzuki is like, I mean, this will be a good experiment. I don't have much to say for this match, but just looking forward I think we get good time to transition into
Mhm.
the talents that have announced. Just talking about Yuzuki, I think this is an interesting experiment on potentially what happens when you take somebody who shows a lot of potential really early in their career and you just kind of go with them instead of
Yeah.
doing the really patient Japanese wrestling thing where you wait a long time.
Mhm.
Like, we've got 5 wrestlers in this promotion right now. Like, there's not a whole lot else to talk about. So Jamie, give us the rundown, give us the update on Rossidom and what we're looking to see.
Yeah, so a couple of days ago, I can't remember exactly what day, but it was after the Cinderella show. Tokyo Sports put out an article saying that Julia, following Julia out of Stardom, would be Utami Hayashishita, Mirai, who obviously we'd kind of speculated based on her comments, Mai Sakurai, who we'd also speculated just based on her closeness to Julia, and Yuzuki, which was a big shocker. They would all be leaving Stardom, expected to join Rossi Ogawa's new promotion, as we're expecting that to start up pretty imminently. And this was shortly confirmed by Stardom themselves, who announced it. Mirai, Yuzuki, and Mai Sakurai, I believe, will be finishing up at the end of the month when their contracts expire. Julia and Utami continuing a little bit into April, I believe, April 12th. I think off the top of my head is their last date. So hopefully we'll get a bit more of a send off for those two. Be interesting to see what they run there. But yeah, it's the confirmation we've been waiting for. We've been speculating long enough. I know both of us have been a little kind of tired of the speculation. The cloud that's been hanging over Stardom for a while now. So it's good to finally have, at least for now, a definitive answer on who'll be sticking around and who'll be jumping ship. But the names are certainly interesting. We're both going to get into them now. Julia obviously was the one that was
Mhm.
nailed on. It doesn't seem like she'll be there for too long with WWE rumors still at large. But as a first get, I don't think you could have gone too much bigger if you're pulling someone from Stardom. But Utami Hayashishita, the next name, is a huge get. Obviously, one of Stardom's best for the last couple of years. He was obviously a super rookie. Won an incredible, very decorated Stardom career, even just in a handful of years. Think back to the red belt reign, obviously over a year, but with that, and I think she probably has the match that most people would say is the best match in Stardom history, at least in recent
Mhm.
times as well. With Shuri, that was the one that kind of grabbed a lot of attention. I know from Western fans, with the high Dave Meltzer rating, definitely put the promotion on the map a little bit. So she's a huge one, but I guess we'll start with her as a first kind of alongside Julia. But you assume Utami's going to be someone who's a bit more committed. I don't think she's heading to the WWE anytime soon.
Mhm.
So as a first name to kind of have as the face of your new promotion, I don't think it gets too much better.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge one, and that immediately makes me think that what they should do is obviously, assuming this is a promotion that'll have like titles and stuff.
Yeah.
The first match for the title should be Julia versus Utami, like
Mhm.
full stop. Like it should be that. They could even have Julia win it,
Yeah.
and hold it for like a couple months, and then Utami gets a rematch or something, and then wins it there. Um, I kind of liked like that's kind of reminiscent of I was like when AEW first started, I was a huge proponent of Jericho being the first person to win
Mhm.
their world championship to really establish it. And it's weird because like Utami was a year plus long champion, but to me it feels bigger for Julia to win it first.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one who has that perception, but uh, is like fucking awesome, and
Mhm.
uh, she. It's funny because she wasn't one of the names to me that jumped out. Somebody who would leave, uh, but in hindsight, it makes a lot of sense. When the big influence in Stardom, she was the super rookie. She held 4 belts at one time. She won that title at in the heat of the pandemic, and then once he pretty much lost that title, like kind of a non-factor
Mhm.
in Stardom, in terms of like challenging for titles and things like. Um, I'm. It stinks because I would just prefer to be in one promotion, but T promotion, like, hard to get much better than Utami in terms of the people who plausibly could have left. And of course, it's looking like at some point Mayu Iwatani will be there too, but you got to have somebody there in the meantime until that happens.
Yeah. I think it's an awesome get for Rossi starting his new promotion. You talk about the Julia match. That was the first thing that stood out to me when I saw this confirmation, because that's a match that Stardom never ran. Which is crazy to me. It's two of their biggest names that they've had.
Yeah, and I think it
was meant to
always
happen,
the
right?
match that was rumored. Say that again.
So it was meant to happen at the 5-star, right? And,
yeah, it was always rumored to happen as a 5-star final in 2020, I believe, or 2021. I can't remember. 2021. Yeah, that. But it happened due to injuries or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, it's crazy that we got it.
Yeah, but even beyond rumors and reports, I believe it was actually confirmed to be happening at last year's 5-star, and then obviously Utami pulled out late on. I think that was meant to be on the final day. So it's a match that we've been close to getting a couple times, as you pointed out, and now it seems like it's going to happen outside the Stardom, which is crazy. It's a huge missed opportunity, and obviously certain injuries have prevented it in the past, as we touched on. But I definitely agree on that being the first big title match for Rossi. Whenever that eventually happens, obviously we still don't have a name or titles or a start date or anything. But I do like the idea of Julia being the one to pick up the title first. As you say, obviously Utami, we assume is going to be locked in a bit more long term. And if Julia's only sticking around for a couple of months before heading over, I think that makes perfect sense. She's obviously got a lot of eyes on her right now, partly because of the WWE interest and the seemingly imminent move there. So I think having her as the first champion will grab a few headlines more so. And Utami, obviously, you assume that she'll probably be the second person to pick up that title, and she'll be the more established ace. But to start with, I think Julia, you can't really go too wrong with putting the title on her. But there's more than just Utami and Julia, as we say. The third person seemingly confirmed for Rossi's new promotion is Mirai, who had obviously made comments, hinting towards her time coming to an end in Stardom. So we'd speculated a little bit that this could be on the cards, and now it's confirmed. An interesting time in Stardom. She's often been a bit of a main character on this podcast, often a topic of discussion when it comes to Stardom. We've had different opinions, on her usage and stuff like that, and obviously her wipeout reign and her usage in the Cinderella tournaments. But I think as kind of a move in general, this was before the speculation, this is a surprising one because obviously her entire Stardom run has been during the Bushiroad era. And if you buy into the idea that Bushiroad have had a pretty heavy influence on the booking of things, more so than Rossi in recent times, maybe you'd have assumed that she'd have been a bit of a Bushiroad favourite. So seeing her move is an interesting one. Maybe it's got to do with who she's close with. That's also heading over. We don't really know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she's positioned in Rossi's promotion now. But I think looking back on her time in Stardom, she's had standout matches for sure. And I think it comes down to her usage. I think in longer matches, I don't think she's well suited to it. I don't think the way her matches are laid out are great. But I think when there's a shorter time limit, and we've seen it in the Cinderella, particularly with Hanan in their match, in shorter bursts, I think she's definitely someone who can bring a lot to the table. So hopefully, for Rossi's sake, he can kind of get the usage right with her. But an interesting one for sure. What are your thoughts on Mirai being one of the names that are departing Stardom?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like she's just not my favorite, and I just have. It's not even like I used to think she was like kind of bad. Actually, I don't really think that anymore. Like she's had good matches now by this point. I just don't care. Like I just really have a hard time caring about her matches or her storylines or whether she's a champion or not. And like I don't feel like I'm gonna miss her in Stardom, and I feel like I'm gonna feel the same way in whatever this promotion ends up being. So I don't know. She could show something completely different. We have seen wrestlers who have a change of scenery and come alive as completely different characters or different performers or something like that. I don't know if Mariah has that in her. She's been very one note throughout her entire career. But I would never, like, she's still only like what, 23, 24. Like, there's no reason she can't get to a place where she's someone who I look forward to every night. But yeah, I hate to sound like a hater. I really do. I just can't bring myself to care. I don't feel like that's like a huge negative. The most interesting part of that to me is that she's the current white belt champion saying that. Like, that to me is like an indictment on Stardom in terms of their prep for this situation, their understanding of like their relation.
Hold on, she's not the white belt champion.
What am I saying? Yeah, I just
Soriano's the white belt champion. She's artist champion.
Soriano's artist champion. Yeah, my apologies. Sorry, but regardless, point being that it's weird to have your active champion as the to have somebody who's an active champion on your roster announce that they're leaving, right? Like, that tells me like a lack of foresight on Bushiroad's end regarding their like the talent's relationship with Rossi, their understanding of like the contract situation. Also, like, it's really weird to me that that they fired Rossi right before all of these wrestlers' contracts were up. Right. Yeah. Like, that seems like horrible timing to me. Like, if I was running a promotion now, as a fan, I'm like, this is great because I like it when talent have agency over where they go, and I think talent should just kind of be able to just go work wherever they want at any time, if they're going to be considered like independent contractors, right? But from a business perspective, it's like baffling. It's like, you knew that Utami Hayashishida's contract is coming up, and either you had some suspicion that she would leave and you didn't care, or you were completely blindsided by this. And the same thing with, like, again, the fact that Mariah is a current champion on the roster, I think is another indictment of that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely been weird seeing how it's been handled. I think you make a great point about the timing of the firing of Rossi. I think some of these definitely maybe would have gone with Rossi regardless. But I think when you look at some of the comments made by the likes of Julia, the general sentiment seems to be that they're not too happy with the way Rossi's been kind of pushed down a little bit by Bushiroad. So I think a better way to have gone about it, maybe if they'd have just gone their separate ways and announced it, a bit more like, Rossi stepping down, we're going in a different direction. But they publicly fired him and made it seem like, they accused him of the kind of like making moves to acquire talent and stuff like that behind people's backs and stuff. So that they kind of vilified them a little bit. And I think if you're someone who was going to be loyal to Rossi, and you were looking to leave, I think that would have kind of only emboldened your passion to do so. So I don't think that worked in their favor there. Another thing to point out, obviously, you talk about Mariah as a champion. Utami is also currently one half of the Goddess champions with Sai Kamatani. So Stardom are going to have a few, I assume, a few title matches coming up, or maybe even vacating the title. I believe Crazy Star challenging Aphrodite, so I assume that's where we'll get a title change there. But seemingly an artist title match is needed coming up soon too. But moving on to the fourth name confirmed for in the Rossi 5, as Lewis called it at the top of the show, Mai Sakurai, who's another one who there weren't kind of reports speculating it, but I guess it was just the general assumption. She was always kind of hanging around with the general, the Julia and friends, as I like to call them. I think a lot of people assumed she maybe be one to follow Julia into Rossi's new promotion. Not someone who was ever at the top of Stardom's card. I remember when in an early period, she was still pretty green, making the move over to Stardom. But I think the move to Donna Del Mondo from Cosmic Angels definitely helped her develop her game more. And in recent times, she's come a long way, both in the ring, in my opinion, but also as a character. She's a standout character in Stardom. We talk about the crowds often being quiet. But in my opinion, I think she's the most over woman in the promotion. When she's, when she's healing her up with the kind of the ladyship character that she's going for. So I think she's a really interesting get for Rossi, and how she's positioned, whether she keeps this stick going, and where they position her. So that'll be an interesting one to see. But what are your thoughts on Mai Sakurai making the move over, and how do you think she'll be used for Rossi moving forward?
Yeah, see, Mai, I think, has tons of value as like somebody who I would want to sign. Like, no, she's not a great wrestler or anything, but she's like a Dominic Mysterio, or like a I don't know, like an Orange Cassidy or someone like that. And they're better wrestlers than Mai Sakurai is, but somebody who provides value beyond just being like a good talent, right? Somebody who the fans genuinely care about. The fans either love Mai Sakurai or they love to hate her. There's kind of no real in between. And I just think I think it's weird because I wouldn't call her a better wrestler than Mirai, but also if I was building a company from the ground up, I'd take her over Mirai in a heartbeat, like no question. So yeah, I think this is and I also think it's just an interesting get. Like, if this roster is going to be limited, she might have to kind of punch above her weight a little bit, based on until they get that filled out with whatever Rossi ends up doing with that roster. But I like this for them. And I think it's probably a mutual good. I don't think that she was essential in Stardom in 2024, but so she'll definitely provide more value to this promotion than she would to Stardom. Hopefully she's getting a raise. She obviously prefers to be there with this new promotion. So I think this is the one that feels the most like a win for everybody involved.
Yeah, I agree. She kind of found herself on the outs. Obviously, when DDM disbanded, she was just kind of hanging around Julia and Suzu and stuff like that. And I never really felt like she was a superb fit for any of the other factions that were already kind of established. And I definitely didn't see her kind of progressing too high up in terms of like kind of title contention, but with how stacked Stardom's roster is and how competitive it is at the top of the scene. So definitely, I think being one of the first 5 over there with Rossi's new promotion, I think it'll give her a bit of a challenge to push herself up to higher in the pecking order than she would have been. But the 5th and final confirmed name leaving Stardom, and I think probably for a lot of people the biggest surprise is Yuzuki. Stars is Yuzuki, who we've talked about extensively on the podcast since her debut. I believe you said in the past she was the best rookie since Saya Kamatani. I absolutely agree. I think that's the best way to put it. She just has it, right. Everything kind of in a game that we've seen so far, she just seems like ahead of where she should be and where a lot of the rookies have been at this stage. We saw, as I mentioned before, get the match against Mayu at the last pay-per-view, which I think, looking back on it now, is an interesting one to look back on. But yeah, a really huge get for Rossi, someone who I think would have been pushed up the card pretty quickly in Stardom, almost similar to kind of a Utami Hayashishita in that way. I think she definitely could have been in championship contention, in the kind of immediate future, and now even more so. I think you're going to see her pushed up even further because I think with the limited names that we've got for Rossi's promotion, she's going to be someone who could be in their world title contention immediately, unless they sign a ton of external people who are more experienced. I don't know, but even with that, I think Rossi's going to be someone who's going to push Yuzuki to the moon pretty much. So it's a very interesting one. It's a big loss for Stardom. They have a lot of rookies at the moment who are really promising in their own right. So I don't think it's kind of like anything too disastrous. And their roster overall is still crazily stacked, even with these departures. But for Rossi, again, a huge get, and for Yuzuki, a very interesting career move. She mentioned when she first joined Stardom, if I remember correctly, that she did so because of her connection with Stardom. She wanted to be kind of an embodiment of Stardom, and I think it's very interesting now. I remember when this whole Rossi thing was kind of developing, I talked about how, for me, Rossi Ogawa and his kind of his Stardom was what I first bought into, and it seems like maybe that was the case for Yuzuki too. who's jumped ship and is going with Stardom's original founder. So it's an interesting one. Maybe Mayu joins her down the line, and that'll be an interesting one to see them run back if that is the case. But for now, it's a huge get. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Yuzuki, the fifth and final get for Rossi at this stage?
This is huge for them. It's like it would be like as a New Japan split like 5 years and they got Shota Umino on the way out,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's a super big deal for, and also I think this is emblematic of kind of a larger trend that we're seeing in Japanese wrestling, where young lions and like, you know, rookies are not completely locked into their promotions anymore. They feel like they've earned way more agency as talents. Kevin Knight, Lee Pan recently. We saw Yuya Uemura essentially strongly imply that he was going to leave New Japan. We, All Japan has been very intentional about guys immediately, not doing the long version thing. Ryohei Oiwa has been essentially a full-fledged Noah roster member for a year right now with very little I sort of emblematic of that as a whole. To me, this means Stardom has the not Stardom, new promotion has the easiest story to tell, which is Yuzuki fighting for that first title. It's easy for her to have a couple early feuds. Maybe they do like a small block round robin with whatever their talent is. She wins that the title from Utami.
Yeah.
But I think that's a super easy story to tell. I think that would be exciting for the promotion. It always works out when companies. Ribbon has been super willing to push their rookies in the past, and it's always worked out well. Suzuki being a strong example of that, right? So yeah, this is very interesting. Good experiment to see what would happen if you have this super rookie in Japan, where you just push him right away. Maybe a little Yuma Anzai in there. Maybe that's the closest analog, but it seems to me like Yuzuki will probably be pushed even further than Anzai has been based on the roster structure and everything there, and they don't have the storied history that All Japan has and all that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's exciting for this new promotion. It is a little I think there's a flip side to it too, which is I know some people really like this Sayaka Kurara. Jury's still out for me. I haven't seen enough, but it's now been a minute since we've had like a slam dunk rookie in Stardom, at least as far as I'm definitely going to be a top, an upper mid card to main event level wrestler. And Yuzuki felt like that one, and now she's gone. So are they just going to keep, raiding the indies? What's going to happen with them?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the development. I think Kurara definitely has stood out among the ones who are still left. And I know she's been gaining a lot of momentum and popularity. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a case of those remaining rookies stepping up in the coming months. So now there's going to be a bit of a gap in terms of who can grab the opportunities that maybe Yuzuki would have had down the line if she'd have stuck around. But yeah, I think that the last thing I want to kind of get into on the Rossi side of things is where do we think that they're going to go with in terms of filling out the rest of this roster. Obviously, we have 5 confirmed names from Stardom, but it was never going to be solely Stardom talent, right? You assume Rossi's going to maybe pull from a couple of different places, a couple of the other Joshi indies and stuff, maybe even a couple of few trainees he brings in. So we'll see. One name I'm pretty interested to see whether Rossi tries to pick up, and it's someone who I assumed would have signed to Stardom by now but hasn't, is Tomoka Inaba. Someone I'm hoping lands in this new Rossi promotion. We've seen her in Sukaban a little bit, but she joined God's Eye and then never really kind of stuck around in Stardom too much.
Right.
I'm hoping that this is a move that could be made. Six Star brings up Chan Yota as well. That's another one. I think that's really possible as well, considering their connection with Mai Sakurai. But I think there's definitely it's going to open up opportunities. It's another place for talent across the scene land in. Obviously, for a while, it had pretty much been either TJPW or mainly Stardom would be the landing spot when the Joshi Indies were raided. But now, depending on how much backing Rossi has and how much money he's got to play with overall, hopefully this could be a third promotion that can pull in big talent, and I think that would only be beneficial for talent in general, looking to get the best deals. But is there any idea on your part on who you maybe like to see joining this Rossi promotion, maybe from any other promotions, whether it be Raiden Wave or stuff like that? Any ideas?
I would definitely look to who was on New Blood shows. I think that's probably a pretty good indicator. Wouldn't be surprised to see Haruka Umasaki in this promotion. That could be an interesting one, as somebody who is nominally a world champion right now in Diana, but literally nobody cares about Diana, so like doesn't really mean much of anything. And then the other thing is, like, I don't know when a lot of Stardom wrestlers' contracts are up, right? Maybe for all we know, half the roster could be thinking, hey, the better call, and they just don't end up doing that because they're not open. Couple people, for some reason I don't really see Miyuki Takase. She's just never done much with Stardom or with Rossi. Like, I don't know. I would say, however, potentially like Colors or people associated with that, potentially Natsu Sumire, like people associated with her, maybe like Rina Yamashita and Takase. What's that group called? That's like Rina Yamashita, Takase, Natsu Sumire, and one other person, which I'm forgetting. But people who know Joshi Indies know what I'm talking about.
I know you.
So that could be, that actually makes me think Takase maybe, especially because Utami Hayashishita is doing Nomads. Thank you, Scarecrow, and our Portuguese friend.
There we go.
And who's the fourth one who I'm forgetting? Who's part of it? But then Sari, I think, is an interesting one as well. I just wonder if they have the money. You know what I mean? I wonder if I know Rossi's got some bank to him, but I wonder if Sari is coming off of an NXT contract and is definitely charges of, and she's the one who gets all the profit from her produce shows and everything. So we'll see.
Yeah, she has a upcoming Stardom match too with Mayu, and I think there's a fairly decent chance that she could win the IWGP title. I wouldn't say she's the favorite going in, but I think there's a chance. And if that happens, I think that kind of rules it out. I think if she's going to be working with Bushi Road. So I think the result of that match could be telling. But that would definitely be a very ambitious signing for Rossi. But if he gets it, I mean, it's a huge get. But there's definitely a lot of names I'm seeing thrown around in the live.
I think this is a good one. Unagi.
She's obviously made a big splash across the Joshi Indies in a Gyan run. But I think there's a few. I think the shout of the New Blood. The women who featured across the New Blood shows is a probably good sign of maybe who Rossi was scouting in the last couple of months.
We got a couple super chats. $5 super chat from Will Chisholm. Outside Julia, are y'all surprised with the names that we know of that may go to Rossi's new company? Yeah, we kind of talked about this, but just to reiterate, Yuzuki is the most surprising one to me. Yeah. It's just so weird, and I think you would echo this, Jamie, to have a trainee, like a super rookie, leave in the middle of, like, she's being presented as the super rookie, right? So it's just sort of strange and kind of unprecedented for that to happen.
Yuzuki was the standout. Mirai and Mai had kind of been rumored. Utami rumored a little more so very late on, but definitely one of the biggest surprises. And then Julia was nailed on from the start.
And then John Theodore, $2 Canadian. Who's the best guy in the Altogether Young Ace tag? I think we hold that thought. Yeah. Because get this, we have a third member who has arrived. And I know, well, now he's gone away. So maybe are you here?
I'm here.
Hey, and I'm thinking, where's our freaking, there we go. I think we should talk about this right now. First of all, how we doing, Murph?
It's good. I went to Bucky's today, which was really fun. You know, it's
Oh,
a cool
Bucky's.
place.
What did you get some? What do they have there?
I got a brisket sandwich. I got some fudge, and they sell these like tahini peanuts. Like I have them right here. They're gas. Like these are here. But it was a good day.
Nice, nice,
Bucky's
good
in
stuff.
Daytona Beach, Florida, and as I was driving there, I passed by the Speedway, and I was like, "Dang, Parker would think this is really cool."
I do love NASCAR. It's good stuff. Let's get into this.
I tried to watch the Coda race. I don't know, it's just not really my thing, but I was entertained a little bit on Sunday. I watched a little bit of it.
I like the road courses. Road courses, super speedways like Daytona and short tracks are my favorite.
Yeah, I grew up watching like Indy, so like it's super speedways and road courses. So like that's kind of what I like.
All right. So let's get into this. This morning, it was we got our first 3 matches announced for this year's All Together show. They've included, they've brought in a lot more promotions than just the New Japan Noah All Japan trifecta from last year. So by far the highest profile of those that have been announced thus far, it is all the young aces around the country right now. Shota Umino, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Yuki Ueno versus Yuya Uemura, Konosuke Takeshita, and Shun Skywalker. This is an awesome match. Like, this is the type of match that's like we a lot of times these all together shows, these super shows, I mean, they're fun, right? They're cool, but to get a match like this with 6 young wrestlers who are this good, wow. I mean, this is great. Takeshita, arguably the best in the world right now. But then you've got Shota and Kaito and Yuki Ueno, who just had maybe the best match of his career a couple weeks ago. And Shun Skywalker, who's already a multi-time world champion in Dragon Gate. Kind of feels like Yuya Uemura's taking the pin in this one. But
Yeah.
but I mean, he's a big, he's somebody who New Japan obviously has high hopes for. This is an awesome match. For me, it's the lame answer, but it's Takeshita. Like, yeah. Come on. Takeshita in there against Ueno, first of all, who he's had battles with, but also was a tag team with. But Kaito and Takeshita is a matchup we haven't seen a ton of. And then Takeshita and Shota, I don't think we've ever seen. For me, it's gotta be him. Jamie, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Takeshita is the only one of the 6 guys who's in our Hall of Beasts, so he's automatically the winner, with our ranking system. But this is a really exciting matchup overall. I mean, last year we had kind of the 6-man tag with, I guess, sort of the current aces of New Japan Noah and All Japan, and obviously we're bringing in a few different promotions into the mix with the UJPW elements of this whole thing. So with kind of the young ace going in, it's definitely an exciting twist on that. But for sure, Takeshita, he feels like a standout. You kind of have it in this, a bit of a mix, as you kind of pointed out. You have a bit of a mix of young guys who already feel established, and then young guys who are kind of on the rise, particularly the two New Japan guys are still kind of on the road to reaching that status. Ooge, yeah. Ooge. As that
was a Jack Murphy coined term, by the way. I coined that.
Yeah, trademarked Jack Murphy. Ooge. But
that was during my stretch of tweets where I was like getting in hot water because I was doing like the 1 down thing, 2 down, and that's when you basically cut my tweeting privileges.
Yeah. But yeah, getting back to this match, it should be really exciting. As I say, there's a mix of established and rising names. Some guys who are coming in, as you say, Ueno's coming in pretty hot after the match with Hiroshima. So yeah, this should be exciting. But Yuya's taking that pin for sure.
I think it's looking like it might be Shota pinning his slightly younger lion to him. But yeah, no, that's a super exciting match, and I really like these didn't get nearly as much hype behind them, but I really like both of the other matches too. I think Murph's dealing with some connectivity stuff, so hopefully he comes back in a sec. But I like both of the other matches too. So first we have Daisuke Sekimoto, the best wrestler in Big Japan history, most important wrestler in Big Japan history. The epitome of like big guy, like sort of, this is a far overused term, but like big meaty men slapping meat. Like that's him.
Someone clip that, by the way, please. Someone clip that.
Please don't. But he's teaming. What a team! He's teaming with Tomohiro Ishii, which is just like, I mean, that's like what a guy getting into pro for the first time would like book in like his his TEW save or something like that, right? And they're taking on Jeff Cobb, who is always great in these circumstances, and Masa Kitamiya, who is also always great in these circumstances, and has had really great interactions with Ishii every time they've done these interpromotional stuff. So I think this match has a chance, no matter how long it is. It could just be 10 minutes, but no matter how long it is, I think this match has a chance to be like really great.
To be fire. Like it's my reaction when I saw this match this morning was have you ever seen like the video of when Keith Lee entered the Royal Rumble in 2020 and Brock goes, "Big boy," like that's just what that was basically that was my reaction to this, and I think it's gonna be really good. And I tend to like not hate, but like keep a little bit of distance with these like interpromotional shows because they never really live up to the hype. But so far, these matches look really good, except for the third one. But I understand why they're doing the third one. But these first few matches, they look pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Long time Dumb Guy Live viewers who've been with us, since the early days. If you remember the original Dumb Guy Live Puro draft, you'll remember that I created a beast division. This match is the epitome of beast division. This would be prime, beast.
Who'd I waste?
Division.
I wasted like a high draft pick on like a Greek shitter. I forget who it was.
You drafted Soma Watanabe, which was
I don't know what I was cooking there.
Yeah, early era Dumb Guy Live. We've come a long way, but that was fun times with that. But,
what's it called? We did our Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame balance. That was our first episode.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
And Jamie just sat there and spectated.
Yeah,
trying to look at who had these wrestlers on their rosters. So Jamie had Kitamiya on his roster. I had Sekimoto. Let's see. Where's Ishii? Did nobody draft? Did nobody draft?
Someone had to
Ishii?
take Ishii, right?
I don't think any. Oh no, Murph got Ishii. So who's got the tiebreaker? Who had Jeff Cobb? If anybody, maybe nobody drafted Jeff Cobb. I actually think Jeff Cobb. Yeah, Jeff Cobb must have gone.
I don't think we were picking Gaijins like that.
Yeah.
I drafted Will Ospreay, but yeah. What did you do? That was you drafted Tetsuya Endo in the 4th round, which was a bit.
Come on, at the time,
a bit of a reach in my opinion. You had some people that didn't like Yuki Yoshioka. You had pretty high.
At the time.
Again, you had Yuki Yoshioka ahead of like Jun Akiyama. Well, that's okay, but like ahead of Ishii, ahead of Yuki Ueno, ahead of Zack Sabre Jr.
Number one, he counted as a junior. That's why I picked him because he was
that's
junior.
True.
And number 2, he was like Dreamgate champion at the time.
Bro, in hindsight, I think I fucking cooked you guys. Like I think mine is so good. I like a couple. Like I did have Naito pretty high, but aside from that, I think I just ate up. I had Saber, I had Higuchi, I had Masato Tanaka, I had Yuki Ueno, I had Suwama, Masashi Takeda, Harashima was on me. I had Shima, I had Jake Lee.
Who was like my worst pick?
Who was your worst pick? Well, I think it was Soma. You had a good pick. You got Ihode Dr. Wagner in the 2nd to last round.
That's good.
Which is a really good one. But then you had Yoshiki Inamura like 5 rounds ahead of that.
Bro, who would have thought he's in? Like, who would have thought? Like, come on.
You drafted Mochizuki Jr. ahead of like Eita.
Honestly, I'm okay with that. Mochizuki, that aged well.
Yeah,
he's like a dog now.
Anyway, that was a good time. It's been a year and a half since we've done the pro draft. Maybe that should be
We should do another one.
Yeah, it could
Yeah,
be a
we'll
show.
run it back.
Could be a show.
Let's
If
do,
it
let's
if it gets a little boring before Best of the Super Juniors, maybe we can do that. Anyway,
House of Torture.
I really like even the third match on this. I think it's fun. I think this is the best possible usage of House of Torture. You get the sort of legends / managers, like the people who define their positions in Hiroshi Tanahashi, Naomichi Marufuji, and Sanshiro Takagi, against the House of Torture geeks. You get them against Evil, Narita, and Yujiro. And like, Tanahashi's pinning Yujiro with the high fly flow. It's going to be great. Like, it's going to be a ton of fun. This is
Bro,
exactly what
when I
House of
first saw
Torture
the
should
graphic
be.
for this, I wanted it to be Yamato so bad. Imagine if it was Yamato instead of, because I thought they were doing aces, and then I realized, they're doing guys like that run. But imagine if it was Yamato instead of
That'd be pretty sweet.
instead of Takagi.
If it was Yamato, I'd get scared that they were going to beat him.
They probably would beat him, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, what if like Shin Skywalker gets pinned in this 6-man tag?
No, they don't pin. He's so protected. Like he's
I don't know.
probably the most protected. He's the most protected guy in the promotion.
But it's not up to them. It's not up to Dragon Gate.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. I mean, they'll let some. Like if there's like more Dragon Gate, like I bet like a guy like Koda will get pinned, and a guy like Daya will take a pin. But like they're not pinning Shun. They're not pinning Kikuta. They're not pinning Monte. Like they're not. There's like 5 guys that just will not get pinned.
All right. But anyway, I think we're all in agreement. These are some really fun matches, and this is like this is what we want when we see this interpromotional stuff. Like if the promotions really take it seriously, it can be great. So, is there anything you guys want to talk about, or do you guys think it's time?
Well, we should probably touch on Matt Seidel's taking Wheeler Yuta's place in that 8-man tag on Arena Mexico.
Hey guys, breaking news. Matt Sydal is going to be taking Wheeler Yuta's place in the 8-man CMLL tag.
That's a big match, dude. That's a big match. Come on.
Yeah, we'll definitely recap that this weekend. Of it, like people know that. And again, there's not like that's the thing about CMLL is like it's match graphics and being like, oh, that's kind of cool. But there's like so little of an overall or anything.
Like, don't you have to pay like $30 to watch it?
Every week is what's that?
Don't you have to pay like $30?
I'll watch it. Yeah, and I will be paying it, and I'll watch it. But yeah, I don't know. It's it'll be a good match. That's kind of the extent of that. Like, I don't think it's gonna be anything more than that. So with that, folks, I think it's time for the Beast. Yeah. Jamie, kick us off.
My Beast of the Week. So I was torn between 2 people, but one of the guys I was torn between, he's won it in recent times, and maybe Murph might go for him again. I don't know, but the one I'm going to go for is a non-wrestler. My Beast of the Week. He's been grabbed the headlines a lot this week. My Beast of the Week is Kendrick Lamar because he just went for it, didn't he? I like it. I respect Murph shaking his head. I don't know why Murph shaking his head.
No.
But
Murph's a Drake stan. Murph gets in his feelings when
I see. For some reason, that's slightly unsurprising. I don't know. I had you pegged as a Drake guy.
I went to the Drake and J. Cole concert. I had a lot of fun.
Damn.
I thought it was very enjoyable. Big as the what? And I like Kendrick a lot, but I don't understand why he's coming for the best duo going right now.
But I respect Drake and J. Cole, but Kendrick, this whole big 3 thing. Kendrick, I think, is very clear. So I was very happy to see him kind of stamp his authority on that. He's letting it be known he's clear. And maybe there's going to be some sort of everyone's saying there's going to be some sort of civil war that kicks off now. He'll drawing up graphics of who's on whose side. I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't think Kendrick needs any help despite Drake and J. Cole. So my Beast of the Week is Kendrick Lamar for his feature on Metro Boomin and features like that.
You see, I'm not listening to that Future album because my new quarterback's Russell Wilson, and as Steelers fans have decided we're not going to support Future because we're behind Russ.
Oh God,
So I didn't hear the verse.
whatever, man. I have like a lot that I want to go for. I'm thinking, so let's go ahead and do Coughlin for collective. I think that's a good one. We could do Tsuji, but he was already like wrestler of the week, wrestle period. I think we get it. Like we spent like 20 minutes talking about him on the pod.
Yeah,
I think he's probably good on that. My beast of the week is not even it's not a wrestler, it's not even a human being. It's not even something tangible.
This is unprecedented.
I know. And I don't usually do this, but I was so happy about it this weekend that I just had to shout it out on the show, and I've already talked about it. My beast of the week is Stardom World. For finally implementing live shows on their service, which is all I ever wanted from this service. And so finally, after like 5 years of subscribing to this shitty service, they're finally like, hey, what if we did a live show now and again? So yes, my beast of the week, the format for finally arriving in the year 2024 is Stardom World.
This popped me a lot because obviously, with the whole discourse with Stardom and the back and forth with Ibushi Road and Rossi, they've had the capability to do this for a long time, and they've now decided to win they've decided to win the PR war by doing the thing.
Yeah, they're like, fuck it, we got to do this. We have to set up a camera.
Now I was like, thank you, Taro Okada.
Thank you so much. As if they couldn't have been doing this the entire time that this service has been active, but whatever. Murph, take us away.
On this day, this is a good choice. This
is a good choice.
Everything's come to life. My beast of the week had a unbelievable.
You think you know me?
You think you knew him now. That's the new one.
Yeah, I don't watch that shit, so I don't know, but yeah.
But my beast of the week had a hell of a match this Wednesday. It was a very fun brawl. They had one of my favorite spots I've ever seen with the hockey fight. My beast of the week is the rated R superstar Adam Copeland.
Woo! I like it. It's a good choice. I like Adam Copeland. He's a legend. He's a legend, and he's still going strong. Crazy that he was gone for like a million years and then just came back.
Christian too.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. Anyway, yes. So our beasts of the week: Coughlin for all of us, Kendrick Lamar for Jamie-san, Stardom World for myself, superstar, Cope bringing back the what does he call his open challenge?
The Cope Open.
The Cope Open. The Copen is yes. Those are our beasts this week. Hey, listen, everybody, we really appreciate you guys tuning in, not just turning in. Don't turn like on the lamb or whatever. But yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll review the CMLL show. There's like not that a whole lot going on this weekend, but we'll preview Sakura Genesis and we'll keep everything going up on that. Sound good, everybody? Wow. Oh, we got dancing Dante Rios.
Mr. 205 Live
for Jamie.
Dante Rios.
Yeah, Mr. 205 Live for Jamie, for Murph. This is P. Stay dumb.